What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Duchess Monique, for those of you who are new. So as you can tell by the title, me and my ex are no longer together. We're gonna get into what exactly happened, not because I want to bash this person, but because I want to warn all of my younger followers, older followers, and subscribers what kind of people are out there in the world, who to avoid, the red flags, and all of that I ignored. It's a very scary situation, actually, but I'm so naive, I'm so nice and trusting that I let this person manipulate me, lie to me, probably over 100 times. And it's a crazy situation. So let's go ahead and get started. So basically, if you guys want to know how we met, exactly how we met, you can check that out in the how we met video, which will be down below. So I suggest you watch that one first, because it should give you a better idea of what kind of relationship we had. So long story short, I felt like I had met my soulmate. I felt like this person was the love of my life and I was going to spend the rest of my life with him. Something that I've never done before in any relationship was actually move in or let that person move in with me. So I let that person move in with me, which is something I've never done because I don't really believe in that. I believe like you need to date, you know, engage, marriage, and then move in, because just some things you want to save until marriage. So we moved in together and everything moved so fast. Like, he was moving at rates that I just wasn't used to, really wasn't comfortable with. I feel like what really made me relate to him was how much a believer he was in God, and I'm all about God. I pray constantly, and that's something that we had in common. We would pray all the time together, we would fast together, and we would just try to be the best people we could be. But that was before I knew he lied about everything about him, pretty much. I feel like everything he told me was a lie. He admitted to lying about everything I'm about to tell you guys. But let's just get started, because I feel like this introduction has been a little long. The only reason we became friends in the first place was because he was a pilot and I was interested in becoming a flight attendant, which I'm not sure if I mentioned that. Yeah, I did. I mentioned that in the how we met video. So that is the only reason why we became friends in the first place, because you could have used him as a reference and he was going to help me, you know, get the job or whatever. So that was that. He told me he was a pilot. He told me that he was living in LA. He had like a 3 or 4 bedroom house in LA with a dog. So he really painted this pretty picture about him and who he was. He told me a lot of things to make me feel sorry for him. He told me that he was in the military, that he was in the Marines and he had to go to Afghanistan and all these Japan and all these people, just these horrific stories about him being in the military. He told me about some that took place when he was a child, like these horrific stories. So he told me a lot of things to make me feel sorry for him. Well, come to find out, none of that was true. He was never in the military. He never made it through basic training. So all these stories he had made up were complete fabrications. And he would actually have times where he would be traumatized by them, or he would have these depressed states where I'm like, what's wrong? And he would tell me like, I'm just thinking about the military. So he told me this elaborate story one day of how it was really late at night and he was supposed to be watching his, I think it's called Platoon, I don't know, while everybody slept. He was supposed to stay awake and make sure, you know, nobody came, no invasions or whatever. So he said he fell asleep and his best friend ended up getting in that attack. Well, like I said, none of that was true. None of that was true. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys like the magnitude of how much this person lied. He lied, but there were several stories about him in the military. You know, he told me one time that he got stuck in a cave, and him and his crew were stuck in a cave and they got captured, and just all these elaborate stories. But come to find out, he never made it through basic training. All of that stuff was a lie. You know, he would tell me all these stories almost every other day. So that was really like unbelievable when I found out that he was never in the military. Another thing he told me was, you know, he had graduated college. He had about 1 or 2 semesters left in his master's program. None of that was true. He's never taken a master's course, and he says that he went to college, but my sources tell me he's never been to college. Speaking of the sources, so we did a background check on him because all this stuff hit the fan. I'm leaving out a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna go back into it, but we end up getting in touch with one of his ex-girlfriends. Of course, I'm not gonna say her name, but we had a long conversation over the phone, and she told me, we talked for like an hour. She told me everything that they went through. A lot of the things I had experienced, but the main thing was that line. I wrote her saying like, hey, my name is Duchess. I know you don't know me, but I believe you are, you know, who's ex-girlfriend, and I'm really writing you because I'm worried about my safety, because we're gonna get into all that. But yeah, that's how I approached her, and she was so nice about it. She was so open and willing to talk. I honestly believed everything that she told me. So one day he's driving me around and he's like, hey, do you want to go see my 3 houses? So I'm thinking, wow, you have 3 houses and you're 24 years old. That's impressive. Like, wow, like you're putting me to shame. Like, I'm still trying to graduate college and you up here with 3 houses, cars, and all that. So we go to the houses or whatever, and they're actually right next door to each other. So it's 1, 2, 3. So he says, yeah, all 3 of these are mine. I was like, oh, that's cool. And they looked really bad. Like, the roof was caving in. It was in a bad neighborhood, but I'm thinking like for 24, that's amazing, you know? So anyway, he was like, yeah, the one I'm trying to fix up now is the middle one. So he was like, I'm not really worried about those 2 right now. So the middle one looked the worst. So he took me there, we walked around, he took me inside, you know, and I was like, wow, this needs a lot of work. But he was like, he knows that my dad flips houses. My dad is into real estate. So we call my dad, he comes over there, and just to give my ex some like advice on what to do with the house, or his thoughts, you know, of what he should do. So he goes to the house. Now it's me, my dad, my ex, and my sister. So my dad's like, honestly, this house, I mean, the roof is caving in, the floor is caving in, the foundation is like cracked. It'll save you money to just tear the house down and rebuild, because it's going to cost you $50,000 to fix up this house right. So he was like, okay. Well, as soon as we were getting ready to leave, my ex's dad pulls up. So I'm looking at Hot Mess. I'm like, oh gosh, this is my first time meeting his dad. So I'm just like, oh great, here we go. We get into conversation about fixing up the house, and my dad says, so y'all own all 3 of these houses? And my ex's dad is like, no, I own the middle one. I have nothing to do with those 2 on the outside. So lying about the houses now. And my ex's dad never said one time that my ex owned the house. He said that he owned the house. So basically, come to find out, my ex did not own any of those houses. And the car situation, so I told you guys, first of all, it was weird because my ex would have a different car like every 2 to 3 weeks. He would have a new car. And I'm thinking, why do you have so many cars? So I asked him about it, and he told me, well, I'm trying them out to see which one I want to buy. So I was like, okay, cool. Some of the cars, he'd be like, oh, this is my car, I'm just trying to sell it. So he would claim like 3 of the cars, but then the others, he would just like, oh, this is a rental car. So anyway, there was this one car, like it's a lie to go along with everything, but I'm not going to tell you guys everything because I'm not trying to make this video 2 hours. So one of the cars, it was a Cadillac Escalade. Of course, it was my favorite car. It was a SUV. It was very spacious, black. It was beautiful. So he was like, yeah, I just bought this car. So I was like, oh cool, you know, this is my favorite one. I love this car. And then the car disappeared. So like after a few weeks of us having it. Okay, you guys, so I had to step on real quick as I'm editing to tell you guys about this car, because this car he was supposed to keep. This was supposed to be his car, but like I said, a few weeks after we had it, it just disappeared. So I asked him, hey, where's your car? He was like, oh, I let my brother borrow it because his car stopped working. I was like, okay, well, how long is he supposed to have it? Because I'm the one taking him to work. So he was like, oh, maybe a week or 2. So a week or 2 go by, and I'm asking him, okay, where's your car? And he's saying, oh, I let my brother take it to Florida. I'm like, okay. So like 2 or 3 more weeks go by, and I'm asking, where's your car? So then he says, well, it's back here in Alabama, but my brother might be sick, so I don't want to drive the car, you know, I don't want to get in the car because he might be sick. So it was just excuse after excuse after excuse, and I think in reality it was because he had already returned it to the rental company. So yeah, he lied about the cars, the houses, and even when we first met, like a situation that was so weird to me that I might include in this video, this person, and I don't play around with mental health, but he definitely has a mental problem. He pretended to have a whole conversation, a 7-minute conversation with my boss, right? But he was talking to himself, and I should have known right there, like, this guy is psycho. And so it was so unbelievable. I started to record him on my phone, like having this fake conversation. I started to record it because I was like, do I have stupid written on my forehead? Like, what is wrong with you? So he talked his way out of that one. I don't know, I might put that in the video. But he ended up saying like, well, you know, I just didn't want you involved in our drama. I was just trying to put the situation to rest, which is why I pretended to have a fake conversation. So I was like, I kind of understand that, because they had some drama. They didn't end on good terms or whatever. And I wanted to know why, because I've always, you know, loved my boss. Like, he's a good person. So I really wanted to know what happened. Allegedly, he owes my boss like $6,000. So yeah, that's where like the weird stuff started happening. But a lot of the stuff I forgave, because he made up, well, I don't want to say made up, but he would always tell me these stories about how he was abused as a child by one of his parents. But you guys, I don't believe that whatsoever. And I've been raised around a lot of like foster children who actually have been abused, so I don't play with that at all. And he knows that gets to me more than anything. Like, that subject really weighs on me. I don't tolerate that at all. So I really felt sorry for him. And he would say the reason he lies so much is because he had to lie his way out of getting like beat as a child. So of course, like, I'm not gonna be like, you have problems, I'm out of here, like, go work on yourself. I was willing to work on him together. Like, I was willing to grow together and become better people together. So, you know, he got into counseling. He was going to counseling once a week. Obviously it wasn't helping, because he was still telling lie after lie after lie. Oh yeah, something so petty. Like, he actually, the line started on our first date, of course, you know, him telling me about all his career things and military things. But another thing I remember, and I called him out on it, was we were in the car and he was like, feel my shirt. So I was like, okay. So I feel it. I'm like, you know, it's just a normal shirt. I was like, oh, cool. You know, nice. Feels nice. And he was like, yeah, it's from Italy or somewhere exotic like that. I was like, okay. You know, he kept trying to big up himself or make himself seem like he had everything going on or whatever. So a few weeks after that, we go to the mall, right? We're in the mall and we go to this little store. You know, nothing special. Everything's like really cheap in there. And we see this same shirt. So I see the same shirt on the clearance rack. So I picked the shirt up. No, he picks the shirt up. And y'all, this is when I tell you he forgets his lies. He picks the shirt up. He was like, hey, does this look familiar? I was like, yeah, that's the shirt you had on our first date. He's like, yep, I got it from here. And the shirt was like $6.99 or whatever. So, I mean, which I don't judge. Like, it's a shirt. Like, I wouldn't have, if I had on a nice shirt, I wouldn't feel the need to tell the person I'm dating, oh, this shirt cost me this much, I got it from this place. You know, it's just, if you ask, okay, cool. But he just offered the information, like, just lied. So after we left the store, I was like, do you remember telling me that you got this from overseas? And he tried to say, because the people that own the store were Asian, he was like, yeah, I bought it from, you know, they're Asian. Tried to make up, y'all, lie after lie. I said, you know, you told me you got it from Italy. And he was like, he tried to like diminish the lie. He tried to say, well, you know, I was trying to impress you, obviously. And I just let it roll right off my shoulder. Like, what the heck? Like, I don't know. It was so many red flags. With all these lies being told, I'm sure the average person would have been like, you know what? You're a liar. I don't deserve that, and I'm out of here. But being me, being the nice, forgiving, compassionate person I am, I was like, dumb. As I told you guys before, I'm a huge family person, and I brought him around my family a lot. So there was one time where we had like a game night at my dad's house. So it was me, my dad, my sister, my whole family was there, basically my whole family. And he was on his way there from somewhere, but on his way back I asked him, hey, can you grab a bottle of champagne? I don't know what we were celebrating, but you know, so I just asked him to grab a bottle of champagne on his way there to my dad's house. So he gets the champagne. He called me as he was about to be at the house, and he's like, hey, I got this champagne. It was $70 or whatever. It's really nice. I was like, you spent $70 on some champagne? Like, why would you do that? Like, so I was just like, that's nice, but you didn't have to do that. Like, he's never done that before. You've never spent that much on some champagne or wine before. But I was like, okay, cool. So he brings the champagne, we open it, and he keeps saying to my family, oh, I spent $70, this was $70. Like, that was a habit. Like, he always boasted or tried to make people believe he just had it made like that, or he had all these cars and houses and money. That's what he tried to get people to believe. So the champagne was really good. It was really, really good. So my mom, she looks it up on her phone, like, I'm gonna order me some of this. This is so good. So you guys know when you Google search something, it'll give you like some pictures, and it'll tell you the first 3 prices, or 3 or 4 prices. So the champagne, the exact same champagne, was like $25 at the most online. So it's one thing to lie to me, but it's one thing to lie to my family, and that was like my final straw. Like, oh no, like this is just one too many times, and you lied to the wrong people. So I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm done, you know, after that. So, you know, I had went my separate ways. Oh, this is in one night, y'all. This night was what topped everything off. This is when the whole truth came out. So after we found out that the champagne was only $20, I was like, I'm done. So I go to my side of the house, and he is in his, basically. So it's about, after the whole incident, because it was a huge fiasco, but an hour later, after the whole event, I hear some like yelling downstairs. So I kind of creep downstairs to hear what they're talking about, and it's him and one of my sisters. So I hear things along the lines of, who are blank blank, which is his ex-girlfriend's family. And he's like, what do you know about them? What do you know? Starts going crazy, right? And she was like, they just start talking about a bunch of stuff, and she said, basically, my sister, what you need to do is, I already know the truth. I'm talking as if I was my sister. She's saying, I already know the truth, and I don't want to have to tell her, so you need to be the one to tell her the truth, you know? And he was like, fine, like, I'll just tell her. She didn't hardly know anything, but she knew that he was a liar, and everything he said about him was probably not true, but she didn't know that for a fact. So they called me downstairs. I go in the kitchen. I sit down at the table, and I'm wondering, like, what is it? I just never expect to hear what he's about to say. So he says, the truth is, I'm really not a pilot. I'm a lead flight attendant. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie. I had a little champagne, a little wine that night, and I was very dramatic. So I literally slide out my chair and just fall on the ground, like just fall out, because I'm so taken back to who have I been sleeping next to for these last 6 months? You just told, like, you've been telling me every time I picked him up from work, he would have these elaborate stories. Oh, I did such a good landing today. We didn't have a lot of turbulence. He would tell me stuff like, it's so weird being in a cockpit and then having to drive a car. I would let him drive my car every now and then, which I don't recommend. But he would just tell me all these elaborate stories, and to hear that you're not a pilot, you're a flight attendant. If you would have been upfront with me from the beginning, it would have been the exact same. It would have been the exact same, because look, we still get the flight benefits. Like, I mean, nothing would have changed, but he felt the need to lie to me about that. So I was like, wow, like, I did not expect to hear that. Okay, you guys, so I definitely don't want to leave anything out, but after the truth came out, he started to get very loud and hostile with my sister, saying this would have never happened if you didn't bring it up, and basically blaming her for everything, for all of his lies. So he got really loud with her, got in her face, and I, of course, was not going to tolerate that. So I got right back in his face, and we had a very, very heated argument. So from that argument, because I didn't tell you guys the end, from that argument, he had to leave, of course, had to leave my parents' house, but he still had a key to my house. So we took my key off and gave him his keys and just told him to leave. And that was the last I've seen him face to face. So the next day, or maybe 2 days after that, we get in contact with his ex-girlfriend. Now, I'm definitely gonna leave her anonymous because she has suffered the most out of everybody. But she told me some very graphic things, very personal things, and I do have that conversation, so I might make a part 2 to this video and post that. But the biggest thing, what I took away from it, was the animal. So they lived together. They were together for like 2 years, maybe over 2 years, but they had 2 dogs. And like I said, I have all the receipts. But y'all know I have a dog. I have Callie. So Callie's like my baby. Y'all know, like, that's my baby. So she told me, the biggest thing she told me was he used to allegedly abuse, punch one of their dogs. And every time he would walk into the room, the dog would run to the corner and pee because he was so scared, or she was so scared. I don't know. I don't remember which dog it was because they had 2. They had Princess and Prince. So I was like, it made me think back to when I remember one time I went to the bathroom and I just closed the door, and sometimes, like, my dog, if she wants to come in the bathroom with me, or, you know, want to come in the room, she'll kind of whimper like, you know, she won't just do a full-out cry. So I closed the door. Y'all, I'm getting upset just thinking about this. I closed the bathroom door, and you know, I don't hear nothing, and then out of nowhere I hear a huge cry, like a sharp scream that I've never heard from her before. So pants down and everything, I open the bathroom door like, what in the world's going on? I see my ex like kind of like hurry and go to the bed like he's doing something, and I said, what was that? And he's like, you know, she cries when you go in the bathroom. I said, no, I've never heard her cry like that. I've never heard that cry in my life, and she doesn't cry like that, you know, because you know your animals, like, you know your kids, which I don't have any kids, but I can imagine, like, you're gonna know when something's not right. So from that, you know, I didn't see it, but I definitely questioned him about that, and he was getting so offended, like, you really think I would do something to Callie? And I was like, I don't know, like, I don't know, I've never heard her cry like that. So from that moment, from that point on, I never left them alone. But I should have just went with my instinct and knew, like, something was off about that. So nothing like that happened again, but I definitely in my heart feel like he did something to her. I don't know what he did. Just the thought of it makes me want to, like, spaz out. But that's another reason why I'm making this video. You guys, just be careful who you're bringing around your kids or your pets, because you never know what they're capable of. And I'm saying allegedly because I don't know if he did anything to Callie, but my gut instinct tells me he definitely did something, especially with a past like he has, allegedly. Another huge lie he told her was that his mom died. Now, he didn't just tell her that. He also told a few people that I know that, just to, well, my boss, basically, just to make them feel sorry for him, basically. So yeah, he still has carried that lie on to this day. And if I do a part 2, which I'm gonna have our conversation in it, you guys will see, like, he lied about that. Who lies about their mom being gone? Like, that's something so sad. I mean, obviously he has issues. Sometimes when he wouldn't be able to reach me for whatever reason, like, I remember this one time I was just taking a nap. I was taking a nap during the day. He had called my phone like 30 times, and I was knocked out. So he ends up calling my sister's phone, and he's like, hey, I can't get in contact with Duchess, what's going on? And she's like, she's right here asleep or whatever. And he was like, well, I was gonna tell her that my friend got shot at the studio. Makes up this complete fabrication, right, about his friend getting shot. And then this is how I knew he was lying. So I'm going along with it, right? I'm like, oh wow, you know, I was asleep. So I was like, wow, is it gonna be on the news? That's what I asked him. He was like, no, it's not going to be on the news. How would you know it's not going to be on the news? You know, how would you know that? So then I was like, well, what if they're coming after you next? You know, just kind of playing around with it. And he was like, well, they're not going to come after me because the guys have already been caught. Lie after lie after lie. Like, and he was like, my friend is a detective, and he told me about it. Y'all, so that was just, it was so many lies that I just looked over. I just kind of brushed under the rug. And literally, like, these are red flags. These are red flags. And I'm sure in the moment I was not able to see that. And I'm not, you know, y'all are probably gonna think, like, why did you stay so long? I don't know. I probably stayed so long because everything else about him was perfect. He was so respectful, such a gentleman, not selfish, spontaneous. We did everything together. It was honestly, that was the only thing wrong, but it got to be such a huge thing. It was something that I just couldn't ignore anymore. So yeah, that's probably why I stayed so long. So that pretty much wraps up this video. Like I said, I'll probably make a part 2, just so you guys won't just hear my perspective, but will hear his ex-girlfriend's perspective, because she went through a lot more than I did. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys watching this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let's try to get this video to 5,000 likes and I will drop the part 2. Okay, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.